Haleh Liza. So, okay, I got to tell you, I loved that episode.
Yeah. I mean, that episode was a love letter to you.
Well, I received it. I opened it. I listened to it, and I listened to it again.
Yeah.
I was just, I mean, that it could reliably and consistently get me to feeling total bliss just listening to those poems.
You are, at least in my life, the number one Rumi aficionado.
Oh yeah, I'm into it.
I know no one except Haleh.
Yeah,
I would have to just put just a bit above you.
Yeah,
but yeah. So I was excited for you to hear it. I'm glad you took something away from it.
Oh yeah, and it's interesting. I've had an interesting journey with Rumi in the sense that I've wanted to learn more about Rumi, and I've gotten books that are more like philosophy of Sufism and history of Rumi's life, and I just can't read them. They just bore the hell out of me. And I actually don't read Rumi very often, maybe like once a week or so. But every time I do, I'm floored. It's like I've smoked a weed or something. I'm immediately just in this other state of consciousness, and I'm super blissed out. I can't even read more than one poem. Like one or two.
Yeah, and operate heavy machinery.
Yeah. I just have to like sit down and be like, whoa. and I got this is the takeaway for me.
Yeah.
And she's saying this too. I don't make much time in my life. I'm a pretty active person. I don't make much time in my life for just sitting down and doing that. Like just sitting down and fully listening to music, not having out in the background, but just actually like that's what's going on. I'm lying on the ground, the lights are off, I'm listening to music, or just reading a couple of poems and being able to like have all of my attention and my consciousness focused on that poem and to let it really hit me. And when I do that, whether it's like Mary Oliver or Robert Haas or Rumi, and it's rare that I do that. I have all these poetry books, but I just, maybe like once or twice a week or once every 2 weeks. And it's just like, it's like I get slapped in the face. And I feel like that's what she's asking us. I mean, she was so mild. She was like, her recommendation was just to turn your phone off for 5 minutes and listen to music, right? For just 5 minutes of paying attention.
Right. Yeah. That's a lot to ask for a lot of people. I would say that's a real tragedy of modernity. I think that what you're saying is definitely true for me, and I would say probably true for most of our listeners, that there's just not time. I'm going to sit and listen to an hour of Beethoven, until I just get transported to some other space. It's like Shakespeare plays, in canon are like 5 hours long.
Yeah, totally.
6 hours long. The Greeks would go to the Dionysus festivals. These are like theater events that are lasting for 3 days.
Yeah.
You got to do this new Macbeth that came out with Denzel Washington, the Joel Coen piece. It's like 45 minutes. I don't even know. I'm probably wrong about that, but it's like definitely under 2 hours.
Yeah, definitely under 5 hours.
It's definitely under 5 hours for sure.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's really like the length of a regular episodic on TV.
Yeah.
And do you think of the kind of the breadth of experience that's being conveyed in that piece, the epic nature of a story like Macbeth? We just don't have the attention span, and something's lost. I think in that something's lost in this kind of hyper bite-sized orientation to consuming content.
So I think there's two tragedies here, or let's put it possibly, there's two opportunities. One is to create the space for a 5 hour long engagement with theater. That's like a high bar. I'm not going to do that every day. But the second is that most of us don't even have 5 minutes or 10 minutes in a day.
Right.
And the irony for me there is we have these streaming platforms, like I pay for one, and I have access to more totally amazing transformative music than like anyone in history ever has.
Yeah. At your fingertips.
Yeah. And I listen to it in the background instead of actually dedicating the 4 minutes or 10 minutes or 20 minutes to hear Beethoven's seventh, second movement, and really just get blown away by it, which I
Yeah.
could every
Yeah.
day.
Yeah. Haleh refers to it in passing, but I think it's really a core concept for her and sort of this collective of artists that she associates with. And the word is sema, which means deep listening.
Hmm.
And that's the name of these events they put on. And the idea is that you come into the space to listen to the music, and the music is in the foreground. It's not like we just go to some lounge and some DJs playing cool stuff, but the main thing is us being seen and kind of seeing and being seen and being part of this whole, kind of melee of socializing is just to sit and do deep listening.
And so people don't talk with each other when they're there.
It's encouraged not to. I think, and Haleh probably more than anybody may even stop a song and say, "Hey, not to be rude or aggressive about it, but like, hey, this is the focus of this event. This is what we're doing here. The music is the thing." And like I think there's circles. For instance, if you go to like Smalls or something like one of these jazz clubs in New York, where everybody in the audience is also an aficionado. They're not just they're a fan, right? They're there to listen to every note in a solo. It's like maybe Roy Hargrove, God rest his soul, when he was alive, would walk in. I was there in a situation like this. Roy Hargrove walks in his pajamas, pulls out his trumpet, plays a solo, and walks out. And there's still places in the culture where the listenership is that evolved, like so engaged that the audience is that educated, where the context is made for that, right? It's made for us to arrive, not have any other distractions, and sit there and receive the thing, But I think it's getting pretty rare, It's getting pretty rare. So I like your language that we could phrase it as an opportunity, and
an invitation to create it. Like I love that kind of event. In my community, we have friends that create these monthly dance events. Yeah. The whole point is just it's like all family friendly, all ages, to just go and they just play an awesome playlist, rent a big space, and just dance. And that's the whole point, is just to be with the music and listen through the body and listen through dancing. And it's kind of like that. You're not really there you can't talk. It's too loud. You're not there to socialize. You're not there to eat, or it's not like our normal potlucks. You're just there to like really receive the vibration, in your body.
Right. This theme has emerged elsewhere in our conversations, where we're kind of highlighting this opportunity of just elevate. I'm thinking of the Harrison Gardner debrief, where we're talking about just the opportunity to maybe highlight a meal, to bring more intentionality to a wall in your house, or to the preparation of something. But here's something that's like a 2-minute module, 2-minute miracle someone could implement, of just putting on a beautiful piece of music and being fully available to that. Or a poem, right? Or whatever. But to clear the space, there's that, I'm thinking of that book, The Molecule of More, and blanking on the author. But he talks about how driven we are by dopamine. And there's a exercise offered in that book of just eating an almond. Eating the almond and then just being fully engaged in all the flavors of that almond. And I really love this idea as a practice, to just like isolate something that's meaningful or delicious or inspirational or moving, and just totally clear everything, clear the decks, and be fully with that for whatever the time is. Like you're saying, ideally we can arrive at some type of 5-hour event where we like submit ourselves to the ecstasy of the music and the theater, and we all as a group go through some ritual transformational process, great. But in the meantime, why not have that just every day for a couple minutes?
Yeah, perfect. Well, let's leave our listeners with that. I'm going to go. I don't have almonds, but I have these toasted pecans I made this morning.
Ooh, nice.
I'm going to go do that right now.
Great.
Yeah.
Me too. All right, it's a date. I'll go do that. I think I have some macadamia nuts that I can use. I'll use a macadamia nut.
Fantastic. And thank you for listening to another episode of 10,000 Ways of Paying Attention. I'm Ankur Shah Delight, and it's my co-host, Nathan Ramos.
Thank you, everyone.
That concludes another episode of the 10,000 Heroes show. Your hosts were Ankur Shah Delight and Nathan Ramos. Special thanks to Pierre for the awesome episode artwork, to DJ Plainview for our theme music, and to our audio producer. If you like the show and you want to support our mission and our growth, here are 3 things you can do. 1. Think of 3 people you know who would enjoy the episode you just listened to, and tell them about it. Call them on the phone, send them a handmade watercolor postcard, or a text, or a link. But whatever, share your enthusiasm. 2, leave a review on your podcast platform. Apparently, having reviews actually works and is a great way for us to get found by new listeners. And 3, get in touch. Let us know how you feel. You can email us at info@10kh.show, follow us on Twitter at 10khshow, or leave a voice memo in this new voice mailbox I set up about how this episode affected your life. That link is in the show notes to this and every episode and should show up on your podcast platform. If not, you can always get it at our website, 10kh.show. Thank you and take care.